Hey everybody, Jessica here, and I'm going to show you my new improved Watercolor Fantasies system. So I actually improved this so that you have greater versatility and can have like a lot more effects and do really lighter styles and stuff. So basically it comes with patterns, actions, and styles. So you just load those up in Photoshop, and if you don't know how to load those up, I go into more detail in my other videos, but for patterns, you can go here to your paintbrush or your paint bucket, make sure you have pattern selected instead of foreground, and then just right click up here and click load patterns. I already have mine loaded here, so I'm good to go. Same thing with styles. Make sure that your styles dialog box is showing. If you don't see it, go to Windows, Styles, click in the top right corner and click load styles, and you can load up. I have print and web styles. Print is obviously for your 300 dpi documents, and web is the same thing. That's for 72 dpi documents. So very self-explanatory. And then the actions, which make sure your actions palette is showing. If you don't see it, go to Windows, Actions, and top right, same scenario, load your actions up. Now it's actually super simple to do these styles. I create more versatility for you by giving you the patterns and the action style. But really all it is just as simple as one-click layer styles. Quite simple. So I'm going to show you some samples of how to work with the system. Now the most basic way to work with it is your layer styles. And you've got your little chart and you've got all these different styles. And so for example, I could click on my text and just go through here and click like this, and I've got all these different really cool awesome watercolor inspired styles. Now not only that, I could change my overlay. So I could go double click here on the pattern overlay. By default it's luminosity, but if you want to get a lighter effect, you could go to screen, and that gives you that really nice kind of light watercolor look, which is super fun. And for that matter, you can, because you have your patterns loaded, and I give you those patterns instead of just keeping them from you, because you have the patterns loaded, that gives you the possibility to go through and flip through here in your layer style dialog box rather than having to click style, 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 style. So you could actually use your up and down arrow key, and you can go through here with all the different patterns and play with that. And if you like a really intense look, you could even play with, change it to hard light, and that will give you a really high contrast look. So by default, as I mentioned, it's on luminosity, which gives you the basic look. If you want to get a lighter effect, just change it to screen, and then if you wanted the more intense, you could change it to hard light. And one other thing that you might want to do, now I'm just going to leave it like this, click OK. Since this is a text, or if this was a shape layer, I can just change my color here. So I can change it to any color that I want. That's cool. But say for example, if you have a raster layer or a vector smart object and you want to change the color with the layer styles, all you do is you double click on your layer style and add a color overlay. So I can add a color overlay like this and just change the blend mode to color. And that's it. That's how easy it is to change the color. So you can do that, and then say for example, if you want to change your pattern over, you want to change the style, then you can just go through here and change to whatever you like. So that's just the basics of it. Using the one-click layer styles, they're really quite simple. It's just a click, nothing more complicated than any other layer style you're going to get. So I change the patterns to be black and white because that gives you more options. So let's see here. The next thing that I'll show you is working with the actions. And working with the actions is, well, actually, you know what, before I do that, there's a set of actions that you can load up that's called like Watercolor Fantasy Styles. And basically, I made some actions so that say you want this style here to be more, like you want to reduce the pattern by 50%. Well, you can just click here, scale down style 50%, and click play, and it's going to be more, it's going to shrink that pattern overlay. And you could do it again, that's going to be like really small. Or you could scale it up by 50%, And then I also make a action which is resize print style to web resolution. So say for example, I usually work in print, but say I have some web document open. Well, if you don't want to load up your web styles, you can just use this to resize the print style to the web resolution, or the other way around. So I'm just giving you these. They're not mandatory, but these are things that can help your workflow. Because say on other patterns, like if you get layer styles, usually you have to, if you wanted to shrink this pattern down, you would have to double click in here and type in 50% or whatever. But this just lets you do it automatically by pushing a button. So it's really nice. So those are just the complementary actions that I put for the layer styles that allow you to resize the layer styles. Now, the main, well, not the main system, but the other system, say if you want full control, there is one set of actions, which is Watercolor Fantasies Full Control, and that gives you 2 actions. And then there's also one that's Full Control PSE. That's for Photoshop Elements, and it's exactly the same actions except that it does not create a folder for you. So that way people that run Photoshop Elements, they don't have folders, so that allows them to use these actions. So for example, I'm going to take this, I just threw together a few crazy brushes and made a raster layer. So I'm going to go to regular watercolor and I'm going to press play. And what this does, it'll create you a little folder and I can open that folder. And I've got my base layer, which is right here, that's my layer. And then I've got my watercolor palette pattern turned on. And I could just go through here and click the different patterns and just have so much fun with this. And that's easy peasy. But you also have the color option, which is by default, it's toggled off. Because that way it's smart, so it'll use the color of your object, which is really nice. But say I want to change that color. Well, this way, if you use the actions, it's you don't have to double click on the layer style. You can just have it right here. So I could turn that on, and then now it will colorize my thing, and I can just change the color like just that easy. And so that's really simple, and that's really good if you want just the regular intensity watercolors. Now, I have a setup. I have these both set up the same way. All it does is create 3 layers, and you can change this. Like say for example I wanted this to be lighter watercolors. Well, I can do that easily. All you do is just like the layer styles, I'll change this to screen. And this is going to give me that lighter look, which is really nice. But not only that, I can turn on this intensity base so that I can control the intensity of the watercolor effect. So if I double click on this intensity base here, if I go higher, it's going to be like lighter intensity and just lighter. And then if I can click all the way down here, and that's going to be a more intense base. So this just gives you the full control, which is really nice, especially if you're using that. The intensity base is mainly for if you're using the screen mode. So it just really gives you the option to control your watercolor effects, and it's just so simple. So I'll click OK. But say for example, I'm just going to pull my thing back up here, delete this. I know that I want it in light watercolor. Well, I'll just press play. And when you do light watercolor though, it's going to add a color layer because there's no real way around that. So this is by default my light watercolor. And you see it's the same 3 things, same 3 layers, but I just have the intensity base already turned on. So this is good if you know you want a really light effect. So I could just double click here and pick whatever color I want. Say if I want it like blue or something like that. And then this is the pattern. You can just click through here. You've got all these patterns to choose from. So much fun. So, great watercolor look. And then this is your intensity base, which on this action is already default turned on. And you just go up and down on this left side. So this would be more intense, which if you click down here and you have it on screen, it's actually like the regular style. But you can just go any intensity you want. So it makes it just really perfect for getting exactly the style of watercolor that you want. And you can always just change this. If you want it the regular mode, just change it to luminosity and bam, it's totally regular. Or you could even do the change the blend mode to hard light, and that gives you more of a contrast. But it's just all about making it easy for you, and it's just, you know, pressing an action, it'll create that for you. So that's super easy, super versatile. What's cool, like the one-click layer styles are pretty cool, because if you say, if I'm going to just join these flowers here, I'm going to merge these layers so that I have this little flower arrangement here. Now what's cool is I could actually like change this style together, and it will respect the colors on my one-click layer style. So like I might do that, and then I could double click on my pattern overlay, maybe change that to screen so it's really light. But it's cool because you can do it together with the layer styles, and it will respect, you know, it'll use the colors that are there, so they're just like a bit smarter. So that is just kind of the basics of working with the Watercolor Fantasies. I think that the new update is really important because it allows you to do the really light effects that with the previous system that you couldn't do before. So being able to turn it to screen mode and make it really subtle is like a really big step up and upgrade, and that's why I did that. So you know, if you have any questions, just direct message me, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the versatility that working with the Watercolor Fantasies, the new system will allow you, and to get these really light, really great, subtle watercolor effects, which before it was like a little bit more intense and you didn't have those options to get that super light kind of watercolor, which a lot of you would probably want. So that's the Watercolor Fantasies. I'll have it for Photoshop and Illustrator, and send me a message if you have any questions.